What's up, Hilo News family? Welcome to another episode of the Can We Talk podcast, our show where we talk to amazing people in the community doing amazingly dope things. And today we are continuing our series with the MDEAT small business grantees, and we're highlighting and focusing on their amazing grant winners who have won funding to improve their businesses. And as you guys know, MDEAT, which is the acronym for the Miami-Dade Economic Advocacy Trust, department of the Miami-Dade County government, they look to invest and support local small businesses along with other initiatives. And today we're so excited to have our next guest on. We don't get to talk to a lot of designers and people who are in the art world and interior design. So I'm really excited to bring on our next guest. Without further ado, welcome to the show, Kenzie Leon Perry. Hey, what's up, Kenzie?
Hey, Janey, how are you?
It's good. And it's Janae Kenzie. You know, a
Oh,
lot of people say Janey, but it's all good because my parents forgot to put that accent on the E child.
oh, Renee, got it.
It's cool. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for being here. Look, it's so crazy because we were talking offline and I was a fan of your work and didn't even know that it was you and that we would be doing this interview soon. Last week, I was at the Overtown Corner and saw your amazing wallpaper that depicted like these iconic places in Overtown and city of Miami. So this is really, really dope. And I saw firsthand how amazing your work is. And so before we dig into the MD of it all and the grant and all of the things that amazing things that you've done with MD.
Mhm.
Let's get into your story. How did you even get into interior design and making these cool wallpapers?
So, my journey began in high school. I was a multidisciplinary artist of many forms. I enjoyed the performing arts. I was into music. I sang in a choir. I was also an artist, creating acrylic artwork, some small pottery here and there. And initially, I went to school for music at Florida Memorial University. It was Florida Memorial College at the time. And I discontinued my degree there because I felt a calling to pursue interior design. And I ended up going to Miami-Dade Community College then. And that transition happened with a self-inquiry. I was asking myself, what is it that I was interested in doing besides music? And I recall my passion for HGTV. And
Mm,
HGTV at that time was a very new channel online, and I was obsessed with all of the TV shows that dealt with interior decorating, interior design, home styling. And I also found myself, even prior to being obsessed with HGTV, when it was my time to, I always tell the story, when it was my time to clean up the home, it wasn't just a matter of making sure things were dusted down or things were picked off the floor. It was, how can I make this space feel new and refreshed and different? Because if you're
mm.
living inside of a home for X amount of years, you want it to feel a little different when you come home because otherwise it feels a little sterile and it just gives a new life and perspective to the space. And
Definitely.
also, I grew up with a mom who actually went to school for interior design, but unfortunately didn't continue because she had me, her firstborn, and
Mm.
she introduced me to arts. So I was always dealing with something artistic, whether it was sketching or drawing or painting or music related. And that's how I ended up getting to become a registered licensed interior designer.
I love, love, love that story. And so many of us are watching HGTV and hoping that we could have homes amazing like that. You actually were like, I'm going to do that. And even too, I love this anecdote that you shared about, cleaning the home, but that wasn't just it. Like you're reorganizing the furniture, probably moving things. So it was always in you. And now you have Z House. Am I saying that correctly? Z House Design Studio. And so you're, tell us a little bit about your upbringing because I read on your website and in your bio that you're originally from Miami. So High Low News, which is short for hyper local. We're all about the connection to the community. So tell us where you grew up, maybe some of the grade schools that you went to. I know you mentioned Florida Memorial and Miami-Dade College, which are friends of the show. So let us know a little bit about your upbringing and where you grew up in Miami.
So I grew up in unincorporated Miami-Dade, which is now Miami Gardens.
Girls, Miami Gardens, Norland in the house. Which part? Which part? What area?
So just down the street from St. Thomas University on 29th Avenue and 161st. So
Oh, we were 39th and 174 because I'm like, once St. Thomas is right up the street.
Yeah. So I ended
Okay,
up
so
going to Golden Glades Elementary School, grades, kindergarten, all the way up to 6th grade. But of course, as a child, you have to go where your mom goes. So we ended up moving to North Miami Beach, and I went to Thomas Jefferson Middle School for 7th and 8th grade. And my mom worked for a warehouse, and she had an opportunity to make more money and progress in the company. And we ended up moving to Broward County. So I went to South Broward High School there, but Miami was always home. And once in church, Florida Memorial they had a superior gospel choir. And I was obsessed with the gospel choir, and they were very involved in the community, especially the church community. So when I moved back to Miami, because Broward was not my home, I moved back with my grandma, with my childhood home, and I ended up going to Florida Memorial College for music. But as a youth, when you choose a major, sometimes you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I felt like I wasn't prepared, and not realizing that, the way to, like they say, eat an elephant is one bite at a time. So I felt as though, wow, this music thing is very complicated and difficult, and I'm not sure that I'm going to make it. So that's when I decided, let me pivot and find another degree that I can pursue. And that's when I had the internal conversation about what it is that I wanted to do. So I ended up going to Miami-Dade Community College, North Campus it was a long journey because I was working part-time. It took me about 4 years. I ended up getting my associate's degree there, but also a college credit certificate. And then I transferred to Florida International University. And there I put the pedal to the metal, or the metal to the pedal, and took 2 years to get my bachelor's degree. And then once I got my bachelor's degree, as I was at at Florida International University, I had an opportunity to intern at a local design firm before I graduated. And after graduating, I worked very hard, putting in 2 years of work under a licensed designer who has an NCIDQ. Those are acronyms for our licensing agency. And I sat for my license 2 years later, and so I can start my own firm when I felt led to. So that was my journey growing up in Miami-Dade. Also going to church in Miami-Dade at St. Andrew Missionary Baptist Church, which was pastored by a very reputable person in the community, which are the Fergusons. So the father of Wilkie Ferguson and Betty, and the father-in-law of Betty T. Ferguson, that was their family's church that I grew up in.
Oh, wow. Those connections. Miami, everybody is connected to everybody, like 6 degrees of separation. So that's really, really fascinating. And, as I was reading up on you, Kenzie, I saw that the tropical design is infused into what you do. I want to know how your upbringing influences your designs as well. Like what elements of your childhood, of course we know like the tropical landscape is there because we Miami people and we love a palm tree and the sunshine, but how does your upbringing influence your designs?
I would say, when you're growing up, especially back in the day, let's be real, it's totally different than kids that are growing up now. They spend probably 99.9% of their time indoors playing video games. And it's not that we didn't do that, But I went to this conference once and they were saying something that I definitely related to, where your parents or grandparents will force you to stay outside all day.
Mhm.
So you had to make up games, you had to find a shade, you had to go to a friend house that might let you in, or just be creative. So I was always amongst nature and
Mhm.
I enjoy being outside. And of course, in Miami, as it's compared to other cities up north, there's color everywhere. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, due to gentrification, we are kind of sort of getting away from that. But in Miami, like typical Miami-Dade, where you have, Miami-Dade, Miami Gardens is the second largest Black community in the country.
Yep.
And you have Caribbean people there from the Bahamas and Jamaica, so on and so forth. So you're going to see color everywhere on the houses. And that's what I am missing. So loving nature, bringing that into my artwork. And also, I used to work for an interior design company that had hotels in the Caribbean. So I was always
Mm.
surrounded by the beach. I was always surrounded by tropical decor that we would incorporate inside of the spaces. So it just innately became a part of my aesthetic. And so as you can see behind me, this is some of my artwork that's hand painted by
Beautiful.
myself. And I call my aesthetic Tropic Art Nouveau, which is a spin on Art Nouveau. But it focuses primarily on nature, but I've had to put the tropic in it because the Art Nouveau is mostly a European design aesthetic and it uses more muted colors. And in tropical or Tropic Art Nouveau, they're much more bright, much more lively, and dealing with the biophilia or the landscape that's here in Miami.
I love, love, love that. And just taking a look and just seeing even your design as a person, you see that influence of Miami and the culture there. Kenzie, I want to get into MD and the small business grants that they've afforded, entrepreneurs like yourself. So can you tell us what grant you were awarded and how it's enhanced your business?
So I was fortunate enough for a friend of mine to tell me about MD, the grant that was available. And at the time, I had just started my business in 2020. So,
Mm,
as we talked about offline as well, being an entrepreneur is not easy at all. So those funds definitely does pivot you into a direction where you can be more competitive with other businesses. And so I was fortunate enough the first time that I applied for the grant that I won the grant and I
wow.
ranked the second highest awardee for that season. I think I had got the grant in 2024, if I'm not mistaken. The grant was $10,000. And
Nice.
so it helped me in so many different ways. It helped me to level up the equipment that I have because I was working on a very small laptop, with a very
Mm,
small screen. And when you're working on projects, it doesn't matter whether it's design related or literature related. You need that screen in order to see, what you're working on. And that made a difference upgrading my equipment. So I was able to buy cameras. So now I can photograph my work. I have a larger computer, other equipment that helps me with my business as well, business supplies. And outside of the money, I would say the biggest reward was MD requires you to not just receive money, but get involved in the community.
mm,
So they require you to take courses on Strive 305, which I had never heard of before. So with Strive 305, you're learning things about accounting, you're learning things about marketing. And beyond that, they also make you get involved with the chamber, whether you just attend a few meetings or not, but it does allow those connections with other people in the community so you can cross collaborate. And beyond that, MD looks out for you. They
mm.
will refer you when there's projects that relate to what you do. And because of that, that's how I got the project Overtown Corner, or also called Heritage Corner and Overtown that you saw recently. That's because of MD, because they look out for you. Latoya, thank you for looking out for me because I would not have had that project without you.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. And Kenzie, can you give us a little bit more details about the Overtown Corner project and what you actually did for them? Because, like I said, I saw your work, but I want you to detail for our audience what that project included and what you did, because I think it's really, really cool.
So the Overtown Corner It's also called Heritage Corner. It is a collaboration between about 4 to 6 not-for-profits, including Overtown Children and Youth Coalition, and also Touching Miami with Love, Trina Harris, and a few others, the Center for Black Excellence. They all partner together to transform a commercial space in Overtown, which is not far from the park, Gibson Park, I believe it's called, and
Yeah,
also
Gibson Park
the
is right there.
Overtown Community Center. It's on the ground level of a apartment complex, and they've converted a 3,500 square foot space to be a multi-use space, which includes a lounge, it includes a bar, it includes a cafe, and also food spaces for vendors to come in and sell their products, in addition to other opportunities for small businesses to come in. So Latoya at MD told me about this opportunity. They put out the proposal looking for an interior designer to come in and help transform the space. And fortunately, I was awarded the project. So I essentially help with pretty much everything aesthetically inside, including space planning. So
Wow.
that was a raw space completely.
Mhm.
It literally was concrete and bare walls. And so I came in and did drawings for them. I assisted with the layout where spaces would go for the vendors, furniture selection, paint selection, um, the tile, the hardscape, and then to level it up, like you had mentioned, I with Z House love product design. So I designed a custom wallpaper for them. And as you had mentioned, when you look at the wallpaper, it consists of 9 historic buildings in Overtown. And so the concept for that project I call music vernacular, because vernacular is also associated with architecture. And oh yeah, that's it.
I was looking forward to post
Buildings
that.
actually look like music instruments.
Mm.
So Dunn's Josephine Hotel actually looked like bongos, and the Overtown Lyric Theater actually looks like saxophones. Those people also that you see there are part of that project that I designed. So the lady has an afro that is consisting of vinyl records, and the guy has on the headphones that look like a vinyl record. So you'll see those 9 buildings. It also includes the historic police precinct that looks like a piano. So it's very personable about bringing in the culture of Overtown, because Overtown was called the Harlem of the South, where we had very reputable, very high celebrity musicians come in and perform there. And so I wanted to bring in that language, that energy of Overtown with music and the architecture together as one.
And you did an amazing job, guys. Even the photos there is not the final product from
Right.
what I saw. And even what I saw is not the final product, but now they have like these vibrant bar stools. The bar is like getting filled out, and
Yeah.
they have an area too, like you said, for a cafe to go in. We've even been in the talks of like what it looks like for High Low News to activate and do a live podcast there, for me to, use it as a space for meetings.
Yeah.
So it is really, really beautiful. And the thing that struck me as soon as I walked in was that mural. I was like, this is beautiful. And it
Yeah.
brings in that Miami culture, that sauce that we have. And you did a great job, Kenzie, of capturing that. And that's so amazing that this connection to MD is that layup that you got to have this project, and this amazing artwork that people for years to come will be able to enjoy.
Yeah.
Kenzie, something that I've been talking about with other grantees is some people shy away from applying for an MD grant or other grants in general. What would you say to them? Because you said you applied and won on your first go round. What would you tell someone who's apprehensive about applying for the MD small business grants?
I would say, why not? Why wouldn't you want to apply for it if you're serious about your
Money.
business, and leveling up the business? Why not? There's there's a saying that goes, either you lose, no, either you lose or you learn, or either you win or you learn. There's never any
You don't
losses.
lose. Yeah, you don't. Dang, I want us to get it. Okay. Well, how does it go?
It's
Okay.
either you win or you learn. There is
Yes,
no losing,
that
right?
is what it is.
So yes, it is competitive, but if you are really passionate about, leveling up that business, they hold your hand, honestly. They give you the resources in order to make it work. You're not out there on your own on an island. That's one of the reasons why they connect you with these other agencies, because even before you submit your grants, these agencies are reading your documentation before you submit it because they want you to win, right?
Mm.
So they're not leaving you out there on the plane and just say jump. So in the midst of, even if you're just learning the ropes, there's always going to be another opportunity to apply again. And there's so many different levels of grants that they provide, from $10,000 for a single grantee to $2,500. So I would say continue applying for those grants, even if you don't win the first time around, because you're going to get many no's before you get a yes. But it's all about the connections. It's about meeting other people. It's about networking. It's about collaborating, not just with MD, but also those other entrepreneurs that are there, because you don't know who you're going to meet and you don't know what roles is going to take you down to help you in other areas of your business. So don't shy away from it, because you're only going to win in the end.
No, definitely. As Hilo News, um, you know, we're actually going to apply. I've never applied for the MD grant, but I've been awarded over $500,000 in grants, so I know the power of doing that. Is to me,
Right.
I'm like, if it's going to take me a few hours of my time to possibly get a few, $1,000, it is worth it. And
Yeah.
Kenzie, would you say the process was cumbersome or difficult? I know you mentioned them, holding your hand because they want you to win through the process, but it was your first time applying and you won. So how did you find the process to submit the paperwork and gather all the things and all the information? What was that process like for you? Did you find it difficult or cumbersome, or was it easy flowing for you?
I think it was pretty easy flowing. Even before you apply for the grant, you have to go to an interest meeting. And at that interest meeting,
Mm.
they pretty much give you a step-by-step guide. So only thing you really have to do is follow that guide and check it off. If you're following the instructions that they're providing, you should be pretty much set. Yes, the only thing that I would say that is, I wouldn't say that it's not easy, is that you have to invest your time. So that's the only part that you have to kind of pull away from if you are really, really busy, helping clients or whatever, is that you have to set aside the time to do it.
Mm.
And then
And that's the one
they
thing as
give you,
entrepreneurs we're all strapped for, right?
right, they give you, you know, different tips in order for you to be successful. Of course, now we have AI, and they don't ask you to shy away from it, but they do tell you AI is not your CEO. You are. AI is your assistant to help you write your grants,
Yes,
but
a
it should
tool.
be coming
Mhm.
directly from your brain, directly from your heart, what it is that you are submitting to that for that grant proposal. AI should just be checking grammar, honestly, and
Mhm.
making sure that your flow is it's well documented. But other than that, yeah, do it.
Oh, definitely. And I'm so glad you broke that down because a lot of times, especially as entrepreneur, like you said, as entrepreneurs, we don't take the time because we feel like, oh man, it's so much, all this paperwork and all this time they want to take from me. And it's really like you said, a very straightforward process. It's like, it's not like they're trying to trip you up, and they really do want you to, they want to try to award as many people as possible. They're not trying to see you fail. Sometimes it feels like with grants, you're like, I don't know who they want to award this to. MD wants to award local businesses in Miami-Dade County. So they're doing what they can as much as possible to help you win. And so, Kenzie, I'm so glad that you broke that down. Before I let you go, I would love to know what's next for Z House. Do you have any upcoming projects and any, final thoughts about the MD small business grant process that you would love to impart on our audience?
I would say what's next. I would love to work with Virginia Key Beach because I know that they're building their museum over there now. There are some loopholes when it comes to interior designers Sometimes the requests for proposals are specifically for architects, and I would have to find an architect to work with. But I will say that Z House is all about product design. So one of my major long-term goals is to design a wallpaper that highlights every historically Black neighborhood in Miami. So if you do visit my website, you'll see a wallpaper that highlights Little Havana, Little Haiti. You'll also see, you won't see the wallpaper for Overtown yet because I haven't photographed that and I don't want to present it to the community until I actually photograph the project and then make that wallpaper available. But I do want to design wallpaper for Coconut Grove, wallpaper for Alapata, Brownsville, so that I can tell the story of the history of Miami, because we have a very rich history. And I think it's important to document that, not only in written form, but also in the art form where you can actually put on your walls. And as far as projects, I do have some leads. They're not guaranteed right now, but as an entrepreneur, you just never know what's around the corner and who will be knocking on your door or giving you a phone call. So I am looking forward to some new projects happening now that the Overtown Corner project is finished. And there's some other things under the table that I don't really necessarily want to talk about because
when you're ready, you got to come back.
You know, you are more in order for things to develop. And some final thoughts about MD. Like I said, why not go for it? Put yourself out there. Go make those connections. Go meet people. As it really is about building those relationships at the end of the day. Because it doesn't matter how many. It doesn't matter how many posts you put on Instagram. It doesn't matter sometimes how many interviews you do, or if you've been on TV. You know, I've been on SoFlo Home Show, and those things don't always bring you business. It's about the relationships that you cultivate through these organizations. That's what I would say you need to do.
I love it, love it, love it. Thank you so much for the final thoughts of wisdom and letting us know what's coming up for Z House Design Studio. Also, too, when I say please, I want to be. I got to join your email list because years ago, I think like 2020, I remember watching this during the pandemic. Do you know David Diggs from Hamilton? And he's a Black guy with the curly hair. He's been on Snowpiercer. And so I think it's Ad Age, one of those magazines or companies did a tour of his home, and they like show the celebrities' home and what their design aesthetic is. And I remember him going into one of his bathrooms in his home, and he had all these iconic Oakland landmarks and important people who were, you know, iconic to the area. And he was like, "This is my ode to Oakland." And he's like, "I got this wallpaper, you know, custom made for me." And ever since I've seen it, I was like, I want wallpaper about Miami. So when I saw that wallpaper in the Overtown Corner, and now you're saying you're creating a whole line, I'm like, I need that for my bathroom. I want that. I want that in my house. I want to figure out where else in the home. I hope I can afford you, Kenzie. I may have to have you come in my place and design it. But when I saw that, I was like, I mean, I remember him saying it was custom. So I was like, dang, I'm going to have to maybe find somebody to do this. And you are literally saying, I'm going to do this product that I've been thinking about for the last 4 years. So that's crazy, right? I'm like, I cannot wait to see that. Kenzie, when you drop that line of wallpapers, please share that information with us. We would love to share that on High Low News. Our audience really, really digs into the local and Miami, you know, South Florida culture. So I think that would be a great story to tell. Come back. You're now a friend of the show. So please, I think that's a great idea. And you already have a customer in me because I have literally been waiting for that type of product to come on the market, and you're literally making it.
Yeah, that's my goal, working towards that, putting Miami on the map.
Yes. Look, Kenzie, before we go, I also too want to let people know how they could follow you, how they could, you know, find your website, or if they're interested in your services, how can they connect with you?
Easiest way to connect with me is online. My website address is ze-haus.com. So that's Z as in zebra, E as in Edward, dash H as in Harry, AUS.com. You can also call me at 786-556-2016. And you can find me on Instagram at ZE_HAUS.
Yes, and I'm pulling up these things as you're speaking so that the audience can see as well. So, guys, you saw I was just sharing his website, and now I'm sharing his Instagram page. We're going to follow from High Low News right now, real time. So, you might as well hit that like button and go over to Z House, go in the comments, go like, go look, go get inspired, but also hire Kenzie
Mhm.
for your services. Okay. Like I don't see a lot of Black interior designers, especially in South Florida. So what you're doing is so special. And also, too, I think it's important that people like us see this, especially the youth, that they know that there's other career fields that they can go in and be successful. And you're doing it as the owner, which is amazing. So kudos to you. Congratulations to you, Kenzie. I actually, wanted to stay on with you longer because I'm just so interested in this work and I just don't meet a lot of people in this industry. So thank you for staying on a little bit longer with us to share your story and how the MD Small Business Grant has impacted your business. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Thank you. Hello News. It's been another amazing episode. Kenzie has been so generous with telling his story. I hope you guys are inspired. Hire him for his services, buy his product, and also to head over to Miami-Dade Economic Advocacy Trust website, MDEAT. They actually have a grant coming up, and their last workshop is next Wednesday, March. Let me get the date because I have it here. March 25th is the last date for their workshops for this next grant funding cycle. So you got to attend the workshops in order to have it
Mhm.
be qualified for the grant. But if you can't make it, they do this every year. So if you miss this one, and I actually do think they do two grants a year. So this is one of them, and then later on this year they'll have another grant opening up. So make sure you guys go over to MD. Head over to their social media pages as well. Matter of fact, let me pull that up really quickly for you guys so that you can see. We're so grateful to be partnering with MD to be doing these profiles, bringing these stories so you can see the direct impact of what is going on with their investment into small businesses. So this is MD's Instagram page. Take a screenshot, go over there. They have all the information that you need for the small business grant. Matter of fact, I have it right here. Oh, sorry, it's Thursday, March 26th. My apologies. Scratch what I said for the 25th. So it actually give you an extra day. So go over there. It's going to be at the North Bay Regional Library in Miami Gardens. That workshop is get ready for the hands-on grant application workshop. And guys, look, it's money out there. It's going to cost you your time. But as an entrepreneur, that money goes a long way. And you guys definitely should look into it. Also, too, they have it for established businesses and new businesses. You don't see that a lot of times with grants because they like to favor people who've been in business more than 2 or 3 years. Indeed actually has funding for new entrepreneurs. So they are thinking about our ecosystem as a whole. Guys, let them know that Hilo News sent you. Again, Kenzie, thank you so much for coming on. This has been amazing. Please, 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 you have my cell, you have my email. Please come back and keep us updated on what you have going on. And again, thank you to MD, our partner in this series. We will see you guys next time. And we're out. Bye.